as promised, here is the demonstration of the video that you saw last week. More than 2 hours, so I decided to divide it in chapters. You see it in the description, a timestamp, click on it and you go to the section that you want to see. Maybe that's a help for you. Also, this time I want to say thank you to my cousin Will Sophie. Exclusively for me, he composed and played this beautiful music that's a big help for me. You can imagine how grateful I am. Let's go quickly to the demonstration. I start with the light flesh tones, white and some terra rossa. And my intention is to make the light flesh tones a touch too dark, because it's easier to make lights lighter and later darks darker. So if you start too light with your lights, then it's difficult to get them even lighter. If they are a touch too dark, let's say a touch darker, then it's easier to make them lighter. That's my first light, and the second light with a touch more of red deep. For the cheeks, and a light with some more green in it. Must be dark enough once again. But I have to make first a lighter green, and you've seen this before. Viridian green with a touch of ochre makes it a lighter green. So you see, with this color is less, let's say, less red. I think this is for the chin. And I put these pre-mixed colors here, so I want to have space for the other mixtures. And I always say, keep your kitchen clean. And that's what I'm doing now, because I need that space. So these are 3 basics for the lights. Now I make a dark one for the hair. And I start with transparent oxide red with a touch of green, viridian green. So that's for the dark parts of the hair. Later I can change this color whatever I want. Now I must make a shadow under her chin and the nose and maybe in the eye sockets. And I make a very simple one, just this red and a touch of this green. Well, that's not deep enough, so more viridian green. If it's too red, I can add always some green. And as I told you in the other demonstration, as long as you don't add blue or black, you are safe. First I give a wash of raw umber, a little bit of ochre and some green. Let's see what it looks like. And I don't want to make it very dark, so maybe I will wipe it off later a little bit. Maybe a touch of blue going down. And I do maybe her dress also with this wash. Going up a little bit more ochre. Well, that's a little bit too dark. Well, I wipe it off later. And I don't paint the wash over the arms and her face, because I don't want to have a solid background over there. Well, a little bit of this dark for her hair, always helpful. I don't want to start with that pure white canvas. And as I diluted it with turps, I want to, well, I have to wait an hour before it's evaporated. Maybe a step dark and not too much. First I start with the hair, the darkest part, and I prepared this color for the hair, and I start just covering the whole area with a basic color. Maybe a touch more of green. Now what I want to show you is when you want to end here later, you go a little bit over the edge, and later you come back, and that's only and that is because you want to make a good connection. If you leave white lines, you'll meet difficulties later. Softness here. And if I'm lucky, maybe there is no need to come back with the background to give shape to her hairdo, because I'm not sure if I want to repaint the hair. So very softly I try to prepare some locks. Very softly I prepare some locks. Here again on the forehead there is a cast shadow of the locks of hair on her forehead, and I prepare first, let's say I'm painting now the shadow, the cast shadow of that lock of hair. Later I come back with the color of the skin and of the hair itself. Here also a soft, I'm preparing a soft connection. Here. And maybe this is not really the good color of the hair that I need, but it's easier to make dark colors, dark tones darker and lights lighter. And so here I can make easily later come back with some darker accents. So here I'm already sort of painting as if there is no need to come back later. Here once again a soft connection. I have to go back later with the skin color, but I am preparing already a soft connection. The magic of a portrait, and especially this portrait with this beautiful hairdo, the magic is in the soft connection of this hair, where it meets the background and where it meets the face itself. And you see it's a very simple combination. Transparent oxide red and viridian green. Here also I must make a sharp edge here. Well, let's say the shape of her face, that her cheek, the shape of her cheek is made by the hair. So I carefully prepare that edge, less soft than here, but there is a softness. Once again, I load my brush. And I don't use any medium still. Downwards, the hair has some more blonde colors, so maybe I should prepare first a sort of more reddish and less paint, because on top of that I will make some lighter indications and later some darkers, of course, for her the color change of her hair over here. Now, come back with a darker one here. Already I can make some darkers here. I must not forget to make this connection also prepared. I want to end here, so on top of that I go a little bit more down. This is the first stage of her hair. What I also need, before I start with the face, I need some solid indication how dark her dress will be. And I want to let it disappear going down. So I take some viridian green and some blue, but maybe that's too colorful, so I add some of this crimson. And is it good enough? No, maybe there is more color in. Maybe also here a softness. More green, otherwise there won't be any green to be seen, and I want her dress green. Nice contrast with her reddish hair. Maybe I should add a touch of ochre to this combination. Yeah, that's better. A softness. Here it gets darker, of course, because the hair produces shadow on her dress. So this is almost invisible, this connection between these two. Yeah, well, that's a nice combination. Viridian green, ultramarine blue, and yellow ochre. Not too light. Let me see. There is also some blue in the lights. That's what I see now. So I do this because I want to have some shifts of color, greenish and bluish. Go back to the more greenish one, and at the same time darker one. Here it starts sharp, viridian green, ultramarine blue, transparent oxide red, now here is a shadow on her arm, and I want that shadow to be warm. So maybe I prepare it first with transparent oxide red, once again over the edge, and I come back later with the form when I paint her arm. And you see, I keep using a lot of paint. You paint with paint. Without paint, you can't paint. Don't be stingy on paint. Going down. Here also is a shadow produced by her dress, her fantastic green dress. Now, in order to let it disappear, I try to do it with turps, and I'm not sure how it will look like. Maybe a bigger brush. And this is also a trick, because you don't really see if you're right. Well, when do we stop? That's always... No, that's wrong. So let me find first my long-haired brush. That's a good idea. This one. I start with the shadows in the face, and I made one basic shadow, and well, let me do first some indication of the deepest darks around her eyes, and that's the way I usually start. I give it a dark wash, let's say a wash with raw umber. And still I can see my underpainting, my underdrawing, my charcoal underdrawing. Very thin, and then I push it around. So still I can see the form of the eye. And maybe some connection for the shadow here. That will do. The shadow under her chin and her cheek is dark, but I want to make it more reddish. And I'm not sure if this is too reddish, but I want to play a safe game, let's say. So I start this one with a fairly reddish one, and it's later easy to let this change a little bit, because a touch of green here and it changes. And I keep it thin, transparent. Usually shadows you can make transparent. The light parts you always make more opaque. Well, that will do for the shadow part under her chin. The same thing for the shadow under her nose. more or less like this. Some dark here and here. And I see that I need a halftone for the shadow on the cheekbone, and I make this out of the reddish shadow that I have, and I add some of that green. And I'm not sure if it's dark enough, so that has to be checked later, once the whole face is painted. Also, the cast shadow under her bottom lip, always that shadow. It's a nice accent under her lips. Well, this is more or less what I would say for the shadows. Maybe some shadow here. Now I go to my lights that I have prepared. The forehead, and I must check if this is right. Well, let's give it a try. Now you see that with this color I go back into this one. You see, I go back into that prepared, maybe a touch lighter, the preparation that I did for the hair. I can always make this light tone lighter. Here the connection, you see, now there is already a soft connection. Towards the temple I make it more greenish. So I added a little bit of ochre and a little bit of that ochreish green. And what shall I do? Continue? Well, let's do this. Then to her cheekbone, and I need some what is it? Some grayish one, and I don't want to make gray, but I make a mauve one. Mauve is, you will see that, one of my magic tricks, adding white to the ultramarine crimson combination until you can't say it's green or blue, then it's mauve. And some of this mixture knocks down the glary, the power of the color here. Connecting here, dark one. Later I come back with some indication for the hair more. But you see, now I have a soft connection of the whole zone over there. Now I go to the cheek. And on her cheek usually there is more red. Maybe you remember the video that I made about 3 color zones in the face. Here there is usually more red, and sometimes, and that's what I do now, more crimson. I connect the shadow with the light part. Towards the nose, I prefer a touch of this cool one. maybe a little bit of this green. Under her eye there is some bluish, and once again I use my mauve there. Here, well, let me clean my brush first. Here I need warmer red under her eye, the eye socket. That will do. Maybe the other side as well. And I make it more colorful. It's early enough to knock it down. In the whole orbit of the eye there is less color and a shine of purplish, well, until there. Right. Maybe this color also for this triangle shape under her forehead where the nose starts. Until here. On her left side, well, actually on her right side, there is also some of this purplish mauve color. So carefully and softly I paint this plane. Now her cheek once again has that more reddish one. Touch lighter maybe. Now the connection that I prepared for the hair, where the cheek turns away, that receding plane toward the dark of the hair, I see some sort of grayish color. So that connection I must make more gray. And once again maybe I can do it with my mauve, and I need a small brush for a good connection. Let me see if this one would do the job. No, I think, well, maybe with some green makes it less purplish. I softly go until that edge, and I take some paint with my brush into her face. Under her eye I need a more dark one, the shadow part. For the time being I make it more reddish. Later I can see what I will do there. Well, give me first the light part of her nose. Let me see if this one is okay. I start here with the light part, and then I go to the tip of the nose. And maybe you know already, I love red noses, so I add a touch of cadmium red deep to my mixture for the tip of the nose. Later with a highlight I come back there. From the cheeks here I go to the chin, and there is usually less red and more grey. I told you that in the three color zones of the face, so less red or less ochreish. Also here I try already to make a soft connection. Maybe I have to come back with a shadow from her nose, the cheek from her nose going down. I would say, why not once again a little bit of mauve. The mouth, her lips, maybe I should have done that earlier already, but since I'm here now I continue this first. I go also on top of the edge. Later I come back with the shape of the lips. The chin has less color, is also lighter. I connect already here and there. Also a soft connection to the other side, it's a little bit darker. I do the color for her lips, which is red, white, usually a touch of ultramarine blue, and let's see. For the bottom lip, I think this will do for the bottom lip. Also where it touches the shadow, softer. Now the upper lip, darker, more red, a touch of crimson. Be careful that I don't take too much of that stuff. I think I add a touch of that green because I don't want it to be so red. Until there. And then also the upper lip has some light, maybe more light. And later I will shape the whole thing. The corner of the mouth has this lovely accent, and here as well. Now I must go to the eyes now. She has really dark eyelashes. The darkest dark that I had, transparent oxide red and viridian green. There we go. And eyelashes produces shadow on the part here, so I can extend this a little bit with the softness going into there, into the zone around her eye. Here it's all dark, so, and her eyebrow also is dark here. Maybe I connect already a little bit with the forehead. Now before I paint her eye itself, I make the white of the eye first. And I think there is that mauvish combination with some of this shadow. White of the eye never is white. You see it often, people paint it far too light. I start with a tone, and my tonal value here is far too dark, but it's easy to make it lighter. The other side is also darker because it disappears under her hair. Later I come back with a lighter accent for the white of the eye. And also you can't judge now because her eyes are not painted. And let me do that first now. So give her eyes so she can see. She has brown eyes, brown greenish eyes, so this red and this green makes it a sort of brown, I think. And I paint a little bit as if I'm hovering on top of that whole area. I don't want a crisp circle over there. I think that's ugly. Once again here, and I connect it with the shadow with the dark line of her eyelash. Now, well, give it first a dark accent in the center, so there is already some real eye to be seen. And I don't paint the highlight still because that's the thing that I love to do in the end. Now there are some accents missing. The eyelid is not that dark, the upper eyelid, and I want to make it more reddish. from the tear duct. Let me make it more red. It's never black or blue. Sometimes people paint that black or blue and it doesn't do the job. Really, really don't do it with black or blue. Now, in the eye socket there is a too dark zone over here, so mixing it with a lighter tone I can sort of repair that. Now, before I continue, there are some spots without paint and I really must connect the planes, here also. So let me do that first. Here there is a connection to the upper lip, here to the philtrum, here the cast shadow of the nostril wing, softness, 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 always softness. On the eye socket, you see I'm painting now at random where I need some accents. This is a sharp one. And it comes alive when I paint this light and maybe this one a little bit darker later. Now, the ear. You know already, ears never can be too red. So this light one and this color for the lips that I'm still here. And also connected there, comes out of the shadow, so I connect it over there. I paint the whole ear red. Going down I add more light. So it's a very schematic solution for the ear. On top of it I can make a shadow and a highlight, and then the ear is painted. Now her neck, and I think her neck is more yellowish, so I add more ochre to that light mixture. Is that too much? I think it is, so come back with this one. So I add white to that mixture. Connect it with her dress, and there is a crisp connection, but I wonder if I need a crisp connection. I'm not sure. It depends also on the emphasis that I want to give in the end on her eyes. In that case, I don't want to be crisp here. You know, being crisp means that you draw attention to that zone, and I want the maximum attention on the white of her eyes, on the highlights of her eyes. So the whole face now is in a schematic way painted. At random I continue painting where I think some shapes and colors need to be corrected. think under her eye there is a darker shadow, and maybe there is more of this purplish to be seen, so well, I think that the forehead is far too warm, so I must add some light and some cooler tones. And you see, it's easy on top of this color to make it lighter. Lights are easy to make lighter. So on top of these, easily you can add more color or more light. On the cheek there is more red. And maybe the other side as well. Let me see if I can correct a little bit that shadow on her cheekbone. Softly I paint on top of this. Towards the ear I think it's more reddish. So that's what I mean. And a clear, crisp accent in the ear, almost crimson, and a touch of transparent oxide red. And there is a sharp shadow where the ear lobe meets the cheek. It's almost always there, that one. Some reflected light from the ear itself. And once again some dark accent for the hair over there. Like that. To give shape to the ear, I make darker the area of her hair. And maybe I can add one of these. Well, that's not the best I think I've done. I remove this one because I'm not really happy with it. The eyebrow softly goes there, and the round volume catches some light here. That will do. The same roundness produces some shadow over here. And I extend this to there. Maybe a little bit there as well. Now this is a soft one, and there. Let me see if I can do something to the nose. I think there is a little bit more red over there. And then that light here. The shadow side, well, it's not the shadow side, but the right side of her nose is a little bit more to that side, because otherwise her nose gets too wide. That's what we don't want. Let me make first a shadow under her nose tip. You see, I'm painting at random, and that's also important that I don't stick too long to one place, because you get blind in the end. At random I move from one place to another. The shadow part of the tip of the nose, there is some grayish. So I add a touch of this mauve. Nostril wing has some little dark, pure reddish accent over there. Is it good? Maybe let me soften it a little bit. That will do. And going up, that wrinkle, there is some grayishness, so I add mauve to my flesh color. And I'll Also here some darks to be seen. With my long, extra long filbert, extra long classic Egbert, that's the name, I connect these planes. And this is a lovely one for soft connections. I wanted to make there an emphasis with red, but maybe it's a better idea to make it more greenish. That's it. Yeah, the eye socket catches some shadow and it produces a fairly sharp form here. It is softened where it turns, but here it's sharp. Let me correct a little bit her eye. Reshape a little bit the circle. Maybe the other one as well. Her eyelash on the, and what's the name for it? Is it eyelash on her bottom eyelid? There are some hairs, and I don't want to paint them. If I would paint them visible, really visible, all of a sudden it will look silly. So I just make it a little bit darker over there and there as well, on the other side as well, and then later on top of that form of the bottom eyelid there is some light. But let me prepare first the indication of some of these hairs. Her eye turns into the shadow, so the eyeball, the white of the eye, disappears. It turns away. So there is also first a shadow here. The curious thing about her eyes is that there is a lot of white of the eye under her eyeball, under the iris. That's typical for her. Makes her eyes very special. At least the way she looks, very special. You see here there is white under. It's not that often visible. So here as well. And maybe it's not light enough, but I'm very careful not to make it too light all of a sudden. I don't want so much hard, crisp forms over there. I want softness around it all. A little bit lighter over there and a little bit lighter over here. Now what I said, the light on the bottom eyelid, here it catches a highlight, and then this line goes there, and here's some red indication before it turns that way. Here also a reddish accent near the tear duct, and a highlight because it's wet over there in the tear duct. So one highlight here. There are two, but maybe one is enough. And also her upper eyelid catches some highlights. Not that much. I'm not really happy with this shape. I think the shadow has to go down a little bit. But I don't want to articulate so much here once again, so let me see if I can imitate what I see instead of really painting it. There's a deep shadow. Here also more shadow to be seen. And here. Well, once again I have a stop for a cup of tea. The deep shadow in the nostril is warm, warmer than you could think. So, crimson and transparent oxide red makes a believable dark accent. Now once again I want to make this tiny reflected light of the earlobe. It's always nice if I can put it in a believable way. A very thin line. I want to start again with a clean palette more or less before I start with the arms. And I don't want to continue with the stuff that was still left there because I need a clean kitchen. And I ask myself, do I have enough mixtures for the arms? No. I need a shadow. I need a shadow. So this green and this green for the deeper shadows. I run out of Viridian green as well, so I need more. And it looks silly, but it's important that you check every now and then if your palette still is right. So that's a dark shadow, brown, and maybe a half tone, and let me have a look if this will do the job. A touch of this ochre. And I need to make new light green, so let me take this off first. So this was my lighter green, and let me see. Whoop. Well, maybe it's good enough. And I can change it, make it lighter, darker, whatever. And start with the darkest part of the arms. And let me see what brush I will take. This bristle. Let me check if this is a color that I need. Maybe it's too greenish. So I add a touch of this red, crimson, and my aim is to be unsharp here. So the trick is to find out to what extent I can be less crisp, to what extent I can let it disappear. I don't want to articulate here and there. Maybe I can destroy later the edge there. Now here there is a reflecting shadow of her hair in this part, so I think that will be a less warm one. And it gets warmer there, so to connect later these lights where it meets the dress, I need a warm, deep shadow. So Let me do that first. This was my mixture of red and green, but I add crimson because I want to make a deep shadow here, a deep warm shadow. So doing that, I prepare already the connection. Now I can later connect with the lighter tones. Let me see if this one that I use for the face will do. I think I make it more greenish. And maybe more of the both. You see, I connect now the shadow with the light part. Connect the shadow with the light flesh tone. Going up, I wonder if it's cooler, so I add more of this mauve. Take care for the connection because I don't want a crisp edge. I connect the shadow with this part of the light. Now I need a lighter one there. Maybe a touch of this mauve. The elbow is always a little bit more reddish, the bony part, what you see here. So I added some of my red, cadmium red deep. And then once again, this mixture, mauve and the light one. Maybe more mauve. Even more white. And maybe it's too dark. But it's easy to make light lighter. I keep saying this. It's easy to make light lighter and darks darker, always. And if I would follow the information on my photograph, maybe I would say that there is more gray in this flesh color. Well, it's easier to knock this color down, then Then bring alive a dead one. Here I connect going down a little bit. Don't want accidents. These bones, the bones of the elbow, catches more light, and there is less flesh, so more whitish. Maybe the white is too white. What I just said, the reddish color here at the bony part of the elbow, I want to emphasize a little bit more. What I also see is there is a reflected light in the shadow part of the arm. Let me see if I can introduce that one. It's not that much, but it's always nice if we can explain that. Now, I need some more darks here. So I don't want to be so sharp over there. I said there must be a reflected color, some green ones here. Carefully I see if I can. Wait. And a deeper shadow also here. Maybe more greenish. I'm not really happy with the red deep shadow over here, so I have to come back. Well, that looks a little bit better. And also here I don't see so much of that sharp edge. It's softer here, so maybe that's the softness that I was after. And maybe here also the core shadow. In one of my next videos I will explain what a core shadow is. Maybe I should add more paint to give more light on this part. And I mean here. And in this flesh tone, I can add easily a lighter tone now. Because there is already paint over there. So I can add easy on top of that more. going down more a cooler light. But I must take care that that's not going to be too smooth. I don't want it too smooth. I want to see brush strokes. So maybe I should add a darker, slightly darker line there. Something like that. This is a nice crisp accent here. And I mean here. Or should I? No, let me add an in-between one. That's always the question, how to get the connection with the halftones. There is a temptation to do it by blending, but I would try to make an in-between one. But with a dry brush, I must soften that strange one. And there is a light here, also a little bit of shadow, not that much, very soft. So let me try to add more, and it's risky because I don't know how it will turn out. More cool light here. And why not try to make a cool one with this one, Viridian Green, as a reflected color of the shirt. The other arm, and later I will come back to this arm. But it's a good idea to start with this one, because if you linger too much on this one, I forget about that one. There is also a warm shadow, and that's here. One and a slightly darker here. Now a half tone. Let me take a bristle. Should I add more ochre? Yes, I want to do that. More ochre here. Until there, not too much. here it's really more ochreish red. Yeah, maybe a little bit more there. Then my mauve once again. For this soft shadow, maybe a little bit more. What shall I do? Maybe I take a little bit of this one. Here it is more shadow. It gets lighter here again, here, and the edge is rather sharp. The turning of her arm is rather sharp, so, and my intention was not to be very sharp, so let me see how I can do that. This receding, this roundness is, maybe the dark is not dark enough, but let me do first a half tone. This is the light here. Let me connect and then later come back with a color in between, because I want the softness here. But first let me go up with this color, and the same thing with the elbow there. There is some red on the elbow, on the bony part of the elbow. So, well, let me add that later. Here I must be careful with the connection, because I don't want to destroy some of these things. Going down there is more ochre here. To here. And then the lightest part, let me see what this does. There is viridian green in, and also crimson, and I wonder if it turns out the way I want it. Well, let me cover first the whole area, so then I can judge more. Carefully once again with these ones. The reddish accent for the bony part, the elbow, without exaggeration. This and this, yeah. Now I need some softness here. And the shadow line, the border, the end of her, no, the contour, let's say the contour, is very thin over there, so I must add more halftone, the receding plane, the receding roundness of this volume. Reshaping the arm. Now there is paint on the arm, I can start with reshaping the whole thing. For instance, this edge is not that crisp, sharp, so it's a soft transition. And this wrinkle has more of color. The light part, now I see there is more viridian green on the highlight. In the beginning I didn't see that so much. Going to the wrist, the arm is more flat over here. Here is more roundness. There it's more flat. First I thought maybe I don't do anything in the background, but now I decided that I want to see some paint here. Otherwise it would look too much as a cutout paper doll. So, and I wanted to make it a little bit neutral gray. Neutral gray is, well, let me first make a little bit space on my palette. And neutral gray is ivory black, white. Oh, there was a touch of red in, well, never mind. And yellow ochre makes it less bluish. So let me park this here. Now I add a lot of white because I want a very light gray. And I check it like this. Well, maybe it's suitable. Well, let's give it a try. Maybe it's too light, too dark, I mean, and a touch warmer. And you never know if this is a good solution, so maybe I will ruin my whole painting, but I decided to do so, so I go for it. At the same time, it gives me the possibility to connect some lines some lines of the arms that I wanted to be connected with the arms itself, in order not to have that crisp line. I wanted some softness. Here. Same time I can reshape a little bit the form of the arm. Now I'm working here, why not make something as a sort of horizon? The only thing is that I must pay attention that this isn't too much demanding, this form. So, and what I like is what happened here, the connection. Later I can add some contrast. Maybe I can do this a little bit on the other side as well. So blending a little bit with my brush, and then my intention is to come back with some details, some crisp. And I see that there's some white lines here. That's what I really don't want. Maybe I can treat the borders once again. Now my intention also was to make these forms a little bit unsharp. So let me try to do that first. Make it softer. not what I mean. There we are. That's the softness that I'm after. So I try again. And here as well, no white lines. Well, anyway, soft or not soft, the shape of her arm must be correct, so something like that. And here as well. This is a little bit too much. I do some corrections on her dress, some dark ones here. There is some paint came with. Some shadow of her hair on the dress, so some dark accents. Well, in this stage you easily can ruin your painting, but nevertheless, let me be brave and do what my intention was. Not sure about these two because they stop the movement. Here, a better connection, maybe with another brush. So this stage is about making nice connections. Not too light for the connection here. And still I don't like this purplish crimson-like reshape a little bit the form of her arm. At the same time softening. There we are. Too much. This connection. Here is something funny as well. Now, I think I go back to the hair and make some statements over there. Once again, I introduce some locks of hair in the background. And I must be careful because it can be all of a sudden far too much. If you see 100, make 10. If you see 10, make 1. On the other hand, this is the decoration of your painting. So if it works out well, it does the job. There is sometimes still some arm to be seen in these holes, the same as the background color. It can jump out, so maybe I will have to destroy this later again. Not too much. There's a temptation to overdo this. Now some of these. What shall I do? This is also interesting. Repeating brushstrokes sometimes are annoying. Well, at this stage it's dangerous because, well, in Spanish we say the more sugar, the sweeter it will be. And if you don't pay attention, all these tiny little things can be too much. Let me see if I can start with these. Once again, not too much. maybe I'm at the point of ruining my painting. I'm not sure. I add some white of the eyes. You see, I'm working at random. See something here, something there. I think here there is more light on her, in the white of her eye, and you remember I was careful with these lights. But still I think I can make it a little bit lighter. Because, you know, this portrait is about her eyes. That's where I want to have the maximum attention. That's why I want to soften this to get the attention to her eyes. The other side as well, more white here. Carefully, once again, carefully. And to emphasize the highlight, I use pure black for the pupil. Here, a little bit of black to jump off the power of her eye. Well, first I think I will destroy this a little bit because it's too pushy. That's better. And maybe here a little bit as well. Well, maybe I have to look if I can soften even more these arms. Let me see if I can make here a lovely accent. I don't want to give her that big fat arms, so maybe that's a little bit too much again. It's almost nothing, but all these small details in the end of the process makes it the final touch. Also this, try to soften. You never know how it reacts. Yep. Little mistake. No. I really want to maintain the shape. Again, a little bit more white because I think this is a sort of fresh air. at the other side also. I have to soften this a little bit, and I do it with my extra long Egbert, a lovely brush. I really love these brushes. Now the other side as well. I think a very crisp, thin line here. Not sure. At random I am painting some details that I think that has to be retraced. This shadow is not really the nicest. Well, what has to be done still? Maybe some locks of hair. Careful, careful, careful. Well, I'm getting close to the end, and here also the risk of overdoing these things. I should be stopping And I tell you always, stop in time, but at this stage sometimes it's so nice to linger. I think this eye needs a little bit more light on the white of the eye, and then little by little, carefully, you can't be carefully enough. This portrait is about the eyes. That's what I said also in the beginning. Yeah, I think I must be stopping because I'm at the point that I can ruin the whole portrait now.